Hello and welcome to CineTracer version 0.63. Let's get into some of the updates, additions, and changes. So welcome to the new Canyons map. This is again built with the new system I'm building for environments. It's based on Megascans and Brushify and a lot of stuff for Unreal Engine, if you follow that side of things. Here it is pre-made for us if you're trying to make a scene where you're driving to Las Vegas. That's what I think of when I see this anyway, kind of a cinematic road setting, especially if we switch it to something like our sunset. These need an update. It's gonna happen. I've been kind of messing around and I sort of like this angle, like around here, something like this I think looks pretty good. I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit more. And to go over some of the changes here, I'm just gonna build the scene. And I noticed that a lot of people basically went and did the scene that I did last time on the winter road, so I thought that this would be a good way to kind of just do things for these updates. So first of all, you'll see in character mode here that we only have Q and E. Q is basically just walk around the world, you can't touch anything, it's just for looking, more or less. If you were going to give this to like the director or something, you're like, here's an Xbox controller in Q mode, just go at it, right? Can't break anything. E is where you can select stuff, and we've gotten rid of the other tools. If you follow Fortnite, they are archived while we work on updating them and making them work better with the new system, bringing back or making new tools. We'll see in the future. So let's start doing some layout, and I'm going to show you what has changed here. So going to editor mode with Y, I'm going to hit tab, and we're going to talk about these in a second because some of those are very different. We're going to click this car. And so if you're relatively new to CineTracer, this is called grab mode or trace mode. And we're going to be able to spin the car around with our mouse wheel. And when we're done, we're just going to click, right? We're going to left click. So I'm going to put it about here. So we'll see something new already is that I have updated the Gizmo. And I continue to work on this to make it hopefully easier and easier to move things around. So with this Gizmo now, we'll see that snapping has been added to this new Gizmo. So what's happening is that this is snapping up and down on 10 centimeter increments. And eventually this could be changeable, but 10 is how the new building system, spoiler alert, is going to be working. So that's why this snapping system is so important right now. So if we move our mouse back and forth while clicking on one of these arrows, we are going to move the object locally, which is unexposed, but it's a local translation here in 10 centimeter increments. And before, the UI was over there, which is still how it is for certain things, for like the keyboard shortcuts, but for the clicky things that you do with your mouse, I've essentially stuck the UI right on the Gizmo itself. So if we want to switch to rotate mode now, it's no longer R. I don't think that's going to work anyway. It's going to be click, because this is a clicky kind of operation. We can bring shortcuts back, but I think the priority for me is to have the, just look at it, what do? I click this, I move this, have that be as straightforward as possible. So again, with rotate, this is going to snap on 15 degree increments, not radians. And you'll see that if you want to get rid of that snapping, you want to have like something in between, you would click the magnet button here. And now we can do in between, it won't snap. We want to put it back on. Now, when it comes to building, we're going to have to talk about this a little bit. We've now come off of our 15 degree increment because I don't show you what the actual rotation values are here. Let me know in the comments if that's something you actually would want. I think it complicates things, but if you want to build, it does help quite a bit. But you're now having snapping back on, but you're not snapped to the world grid, the world snap, world orientation or anything like that. But in general, that is the update design-wise. This is definitely not like our final Gizmo here, but it is moving towards what I want, having tried a lot of different ways of doing Gizmos in games and playing other games quite a bit, actually. This one I'm pretty happy with the direction of it, right? Everything's left click, it's all right here, kind of compact and hopefully kind of straightforward. So that's the update to the Gizmo. You can still use the arrow keys to kind of scoot around. The Gizmo doesn't update, I haven't fixed that yet, but yeah, that's moving things around, which is kind of new. I'm just going to add a person here, and we're going to make a shot with the camera. Let's scoot over here. Just going to take off snapping again. And just kind of seat him right there in the floor. Something like that. Looks pretty good. So hitting tab, we're going to get the crane, and we're going to look at one little update that happened to the cameras. I believe it's this update. I kind of lose track sometimes, but let's hop in this. I'm going to hit F and E, and scroll. Just so you know, you can also move between these things with your arrow keys if you're on a laptop and scrolling's like kind of terrible. You can use your arrow keys left and right, and then you can up and down to change the values. I will put that on the UI eventually because that's a really great way if you're, again, on the laptop or something like that. Or especially on like some of the Mac systems, like scrolling is not the same as PC. It's kind of smoother. It's a little different. I have both systems. I use both every day, Mac and PC. So I'm just opening up here. I'm going to focus on him right there. It's a little dark, right? But what I'm going to show now is that the director's monitor has made a return. Should be for all of the new cameras. And just so you know, the older cameras are going to go away completely. This UI is going to get updated. But anyway, you click on this, and for now there's no button. There will be a button at some point, as I'm going to basically make everything very clickable and more straightforward, I hope, for some people. You can hit M, and now the director's monitor comes back up for the camera. It's very helpful for doing things like actually looking through the view. Okay, the Gizmo's gigantic. I don't know how to fix that yet in the screen, but still you can kind of scoot around per the shot like this, which is going to be very helpful. Looking at the new Gizmos, you'll see how this kind of works, right? We just click around. It's like, oh, let's rotate. I missed it. We're going to go like this. Spinning around. Maybe it's this way. That's pretty cool. For whatever reason, maybe we wanted to go back on grid, which we don't for him. And right. So new director's monitor should be working for all the new cameras, and new update to the Gizmo to make this process, this layout to a camera angle, simpler and simpler and more intuitive. So hopefully that's apparent here. And the monitor's still there. I think it's still M to get rid of it. It is, yeah. So there's still a bit of a workflow to be sorted there to make that smooth, but in my opinion, it's getting better. So that's good, I hope. I'm going to show a couple new things here. We did a lot of, I did a lot of programming and updating of stuff in the background. A lot of it didn't make it into this update. It's not done yet, but here's the stuff that we do have. There are more props. These are like the most basic props, like this couch, for instance, and this couch. They are just what they are. They don't even have a menu. You can't do anything to them other than use them, and that's a simple thing, and I think the way to approach a lot of assets like these. So these got added in. They're super high quality. I've looked at like everywhere on the internet for these. I didn't make these myself, and these are some of the best ones out there. They look very realistic. So I added them. Very cool. I'll be adding more as we go. However, another change is that X no longer does delete, because until we get the undo button, I think X is very easy to hit by accident, especially if you're not used to like using hotkeys in games. I think it's very easy to delete things that way. So now it's only backspace and delete. For me, that's hard because I'm very used to X, but I think it's a change that makes sense. This is the kind of showcase of what's really changing with CineTracer. It's taken a while to get to this point where I can build a configurator like this, right? We can go from king to twin size to queen, and then we can change these dressings as well for all of them, right? So this is going to hopefully make things much faster for people that want to put together a bed. There will be new bed frames that come with this system as well. You can take off the blanket. You can change the pillows off and on. You don't have different pillow layouts. I suppose that's possible. And you can get rid of the box spring. So if you want something very raw like this with pillows, you know, it's basically possible. And it's just like quick A/B with kind of configurator setup. That is how I want a lot of the, I don't know what to call these yet, the customizable props. They're like the props plus kind of objects that I'm making now, because giving every single one of these objects to you in a library is how I have to deal with it in Unreal Engine, and it can honestly take an hour to set up a bed. Like, it doesn't seem like it would, but it gets very time consuming to line these all up. On top of that, we don't have multi-select yet in CineTracer, so this is my solution for it, and I hope that this works for the majority of people who just need like a bed, but maybe want to do a little bit of customization with it, like, hey, there's no blanket for some reason, they're doing laundry, I don't know. The other thing that's different about this object, and this is the first of its kind, is that in Unreal Engine now, I can program things so that like anything, even this car or even him, can have their own set of custom materials. Before it was tied to that, only that object can do it. Now anything can do it, and we'll see what that means as time goes on. Anyway, this blanket, for instance, now is using some of our new materials, this is new as well, that are from Megascan. So they don't have great previews yet, but we could change it to say wood, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but you could do it. Or it could be like grass, which that's not a great grass material. I made that a long time ago. I'm going to choose something like this. And now it matches that. And so if you're doing commercials specifically, which is where I come from, you can completely art direct this bed. I think within reason. To go much further, you'd probably need to start 3D modeling your own bed, which I don't believe the core user of CineTracer really has the time to do. So we can change the color now using this base wallpaper and start to blend it over it, and to the point where it's just blue. It's just completely a flat color. That texture doesn't even exist. And you should be able to get like your art directed looking setup this way, and maybe half blend it over. This is all pretty standard Photoshop style image adjustment, but if you're not used to it, it might take a while for you to understand how these are working. But this is essentially the full control you would need, even within Unreal Engine itself, to be able to customize this sort of thing, and it's just in a streamlined, simpler and more limited fashion. So I'm going to make the bottom one like this. It's a little dark, I guess. Right? So we can change the base material, we can tint it, we can configure it. That's how I want a lot of these objects to be. They're like smart objects, they're collections, or configurators, however you want to think about it. And it's all designed to kind of go with what's standard, what most people are going to want when they want a bed. Be able to customize it, be able to do it still, however, in like a minute or two, instead of it being literally putting this bed blueprint, which is the Unreal Engine side of it. This took me days to set this up. I don't want it to take you days to make a bed that has a blue blanket on it. I really don't. I want things to go much faster than that. That's the hope. So that is the update. There's a lot more coming, mostly with the building system. If you follow me on YouTube, I've been live streaming some of the updates and developments for the new building system. Maybe it's a little too early to say this, but you're going to be able to build, I think, much nicer looking and customizable sets in CineTracer. We're not going parametric yet, where you would type in the dimensions. A lot of people ask for that, but it's honestly much more time consuming, and then you need to really understand how construction works. I don't believe, again, that's the majority of people. I am building a new modular, very much using the new Gizmo. You'll have to use the Gizmo snapping system, and essentially this is called World Grid here. The way that this building is working. This is how Fortnite works. It's how a couple other games work. I enjoy it. I think it's fast. So again, let me know in the comments how you think about this type of system. I think it's really good for speed. However, fundamentally, it actually limits how we can build in the game to keep everything perfectly on the world grid. Has been limiting, and I think it makes the locations look kind of bad, in my opinion. So I have a new system that's coming. I will leave this one in the game for quite a while, as in most people's locations are probably built with it. But just know that I am starting to transition, at least my focus and development, towards a different system, and I've already seen the results from it, and to my eye they look better, they're more realistic, which is helpful. And I'll be teaching that. I'm trying to hit X. I really want it, but I think that it's the cause of a lot of pain for some people. And so until we have custom hotkeys, which will be happening once things are in a more solidified final action state, is what it's called. They're like input actions I have to basically finalize. Then I'll write the hotkey switching menu. I could write it now, but things change a lot between releases, so your keybinds would immediately be invalidated and might actually break things. So I basically can't do that until I can really kind of commit to what all the actions are called. So a bit of a long update video here, but wanted to just show in context of how this stuff is working and talk about the direction of CineTracer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next update.